Welcome everybody to Let's Play El Shaddai. I have with me another guest. Please welcome Azure Horizon.
Hello, how's it going, guys?
And today we are going to be working through worlds 5 through 10 on Extra Mode. Starting right off with Azazel's world, Crazy Motorcycle 1. So right off the bat, we can see that there are three major changes that set Azazel's world apart from the others on Extra Mode. The first up, if you look up at the health bar, you can see that there are only 3 pips of health. Also, the nameplate has changed to say Rider Enoch. But, unlike the other stages, getting hit does not send you to 0 health immediately. In fact, it only robs you of about half a pip. The other major change is that healing items are actually worth points here, and that is the major source of points for the vehicle section, is picking up lots of health items, and especially the very large health items, because they get you well over 3,000 points. Very important.
This is probably, I'm gonna say this is one of my least favorite levels in the game. I don't know, it just kind of reminded me a lot of Bayonetta. It's a little, I mean, Enoch controls a little better than Bayonetta did, but I don't know. There's something about this level that just kind of, it's just such a, like a sharp, jarring change from the standard gameplay. Some cool, like, environments, and some cool special effects and cool scenes, but it's just like all the cool stuff happens in the cutscenes, and the actual gameplay is just kind of dull.
Fortunately, it doesn't last quite as long as Bayonetta's did, though.
Oh god, yeah. Bayonetta's, yeah, was definitely, like, too long.
So the fights against the mechs on the road are relatively unchanged. You just want to stay out of the way and get in hits when you can. I actually had a rather funny thing happen in my first recording against this guy. Somehow in the first jump I managed to get ahead of him, and I was just ahead of him for the entire route, so he never crossed paths with me. Either that or he just didn't spawn at all.
Probably be the first major glitch I've heard of in this game. Because this game, I mean, for how experimental it is, I expected there to be more issues, but...
Yep. And then the third guy is just doesn't do anything noteworthy, so we're just skipping right past him. I never made the connotation of how you might pronounce his name in a non-Englishy way. Thank you for pointing that out.
I still don't know how to fully... How is it actually pronounced?
Well, you gave me the idea that it was pronounced, that it's supposed to be Battle Royale, and they're just saying it in some sort of weird phonetic way.
Sorta? Yeah, I don't know. It's just... It's a little awkward. So this entire, like... Honestly, I thought this boss fight was just awkward. Because it just ends... The whole level just ends in a very interesting way.
Yep.
But this boss, like, gave me nothing but trouble on every difficulty I played him on, aside from easy, obviously.
Oh, right here, though, is the one new thing that I actually discovered he does, is that little barrage of missiles. He shoots out an entire barrage of ones straight forward. I never encountered that before I was doing this recording. And then he does it twice in a row.
Yeah, I can see it definitely took you out there.
Yeah. The Gale, though, just absolutely shreds this guy, regardless of what mode he's in. You generally don't want to attack once he's in, pretty sure it's the arch form, where he's like standing up on one wheel. There's no safe way to attack him in that form. Just gotta play defense.
This is probably, like, I would say it's like the only, I mean, considering how useful a Gale is, like, it's just because there's just really no way to fight him up close, except for, like, just dodging half the time. It just gets kind of tedious.
Yeah. This mode right here, you really just gotta play super defensive and stay away from him. That attack right there, the shockwave for it, can hit you about halfway across the arena, so you gotta make sure to jump when he jumps. Yeah, it is a rather abrupt end. It's just, robot's dead, next level.
Yeah, it's just, the whole level just feels kind of like, I mean, they wanted to do something totally different, and then it's like, I don't know, it just feels incongruous. In a game that's all about incongruity, it's kind of awkward to say that, but
Yeah. Alright, and here I'm wearing the first unlockable costume. This is Rider Enoch's suit. Your health doesn't retain the odd qualities that it did before. You get it by getting an A rank or better in Azazel's world on any difficulty. So you can just go to easy mode and have a grand old time, you'll still get it. Like I said, it's not functionally any difficult, it's just visually, although Enoch does get a cool new pair of pants that we'll see rather soon. Also, I sort of, about halfway through this fight, I decided to do a self-imposed challenge of only use the Veil for this entire stage. It worked out well right up until the end.
I can imagine. Yeah, this level, this level is like deceptively like, you know, there's bits of it that are like really difficult, but I'm gonna say like, and you'll probably get into it soon, the platforming that you already showed off in the normal playthrough just completely frustrated me without end.
Which parts?
The one where you're like, the part where you're like jumping across the ice flows. Like, that part, it's just because of this game has just such awkward platforming that, you know, and I love it. I love this game so much, but the platforming was just completely frustrating.
It gets especially difficult when you're using the Veil because it actually makes Enoch a bit heavier without explicitly telling you, and so you really have to spend some time to get used to the Veil's jumps.
Oh yeah, he falls like a rock with the Veil on. I think it was like, I can't remember which level it was. It was one of the earlier levels with a ton of platforming. Like that's where you really notice that if you have to do a ton of platforming, you have the wrong weapon if you have the Veil on.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I mean, that was one of those things where I think they were like, you know, trying to devise usefulness for all three weapons, but then like, I don't know why they decided to make that a weakness of the Veil. You know,
flavor, I guess. I mean, they are big, heavy, like ceramic boxing gloves.
It's true.
They're gauntlets that, like you know, it's almost as tall as Enoch when you put them together. Also, right here, I just showed off the lower path because I did the higher path in the main run. Just a lot of really slow descents.
This is actually probably my favorite part of this level, just because I like it's where you like really notice because the game always likes to play with the whole like effects on the screen. And you see like the frost on the one side of the screen and it, like closing in as you get further in level, and that part I think like makes it all the more present. Yeah. It's one of those things that, like, you know, aside from being visually stunning, like I always love what they did with the screen in this game. They really made it, very artistic.
All right, so this fight right here, it took me 2 hours. No, it took me about an hour and a half to record this level. Half of that was this fight by itself. Oh my goodness. The one good thing about it is I discovered that attack right there exists. It's the aerial power attack for the Veil. It's got a pretty nice area of effect on it, and it does some good damage, but this fight was murder on me, just because of how aggressive the enemies are, how many spawn in, and the specific varieties that they include. It really became a game of precisely plotting out exactly how many hits which enemies have on them, killing them at exactly the right moment. Hey, on extra mode, you either have to master the perfect guard or master getting the heck out of the way, and I am not good at the perfect guard.
Neither am I. I think I've done it like once or twice. It's kind of like one of those things like the dodge offset in Bayonetta. I hate to bring it up again, but that's another thing, another game mechanic where I just is like, I don't have the timing for this.
Yeah. So the whole thing with the backup dancers, I was so excited to be done with that fight. I didn't want to put any effort into it, so I just spammed the aerial attack forever.
So you lost your
yeah, you might as well. I mean, it's completely a filler battle.
Yeah. So Armorosis wasn't too bad. I died him once, and then I managed to get all the way to the end of his fight without getting hit one more time on the second run. Not a bad score.
No, not bad at all.
And then we get into Armorosis level.
The best level.
So right here, I discovered something new for myself. Those things, unless you jump into them, they won't hit you. They'll stop just before they touch you.
Huh. Here I was super afraid of them when I was playing this level.
Yeah, me too. But their explosion radius is a lot wider than it seems, so you got to make sure to get well clear. Also, right here, there's a shortcut that I didn't discover until I was reviewing the footage for the main run.
It's so much grief. Except
maybe.
for that.
There's 3 of these, and you can see the next one in the background. Look at how many mines there are.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, so this isn't really a shortcut at all.
It is spatially a shortcut. Also, just want to reiterate, you don't get to rapid fire recovery outside of battle. So if you drop to 0 and then get hit, you just game over and have to restart for the next checkpoint. So this was a risky venture for me. I just had to rely on some fortunate jumping and a few invincibility frames to get me through.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone always bashes on this level, but I don't know. For me, it's just, even though it's incredibly frustrating, it's all platforming, and I hate the platforming, it's just the color usage and the gradient usage and the fact that it's just so disorienting. I think it captures the whole mood so perfectly. Oh,
yeah. Right here is the lower path as opposed to the higher path. This is right up on that hill is the last Lucifer of the level. And I just wanted to show off what happens if you take the lower path rather than the upper one. On the upper one, you gotta do some jumping and avoid the lost heads. Here, you have to deal with a gauntlet of ramps. And we're gonna see some numbers here in a minute. Armorosis' charge attack, if you mash the attack button while doing it, he will continue to spin. And, multiple enemies at once and a whole lot of spins. Just watch these numbers.
That's a really high combo.
Oh, yeah.
It's really a shame they only play with him for one level, because that's a really awesome move.
How's that? 106.
It's pretty impressive.
And I just got one more little guy here. I don't know if it's possible to jump between those spinning blades. I don't know if you can get lucky or time it just right, but I didn't want to chance it. Let me just jump right into Dark Enoch. I am honestly not particularly fond of this fight. Armorosis really doesn't feel like he was built to operate in a boss fight.
Well, even without Armorosis, even when you're playing as Enoch against himself, it's just so repetitive. And I mean, the boss fights in this game generally are pretty repetitive, but this one just drags on for so long because he has so much health, and it's the constant switching in the cutscenes of his forms. Playing through this game a couple times over, this was the fight I just didn't want to do again.
Yeah. Honestly, aside from this attack right here, once his halo's out and he's charging at you, he's not exactly difficult to deal with, it's just tedious, although I have no idea how to get out of the way of this attack. I've never managed it.
I just got lucky to do it at the other side of the arena, and I'd have enough time to somehow dodge out of the way, but that was probably the only time I was ever able to dodge it as Armorosis. But you really have to have distance between the two of you before you can make it work.
So right about here, that was my last recovery. I wasn't going to be able to manage anymore, so I was just desperately trying to hammer him before he could get back into the veil pattern. Really, the only sticking point for score with this one is that fight. with a little bit of practice, it's not hard to make all of the platforming without falling, and it's not hard to, not fall in combat. You just got to be a bit careful. But that fight, goodness, good luck getting no recoveries in that stage.
Yeah. This is, I mean, like I don't know. I tried to do extra difficulty. I did maybe the first couple levels, and I just realized I didn't understand. I mean, I kind of read up about El Shaddai's combat system because there's a little, the hidden combos and all that, and kind of the things you're supposed to master. But I don't know. After 2 or 3 levels, I realized I did not understand the game enough to play it on extra. So for me, this is all kind of new, watching how difficult this game can get.
It's a lot. If you don't have the perfect guard mastered, it's a lot of playing really, really cautious.
Yeah.
Something I might not have... Well, no, I didn't spell it out at all in the course of the game, in the course of the main playthrough, because I was silent. These fights, all of them except for the final boss fight with Dark Enoch, they are all on a timer. You have a certain number of minutes to take out your opponent or opponents in the case of that first fight. If you can't, it just fades out. If you can get them to 0 health, then it moves on. It really only plays into if you're hunting for score. If you're just trying to get through everything, then you can just play super defensively and get out of the way of everything and never attack at all, and the level will just progress on its own. But if you want score, you have to play aggressively, and more aggressively than normal, because you're on a time limit here. And in fact, I don't manage to get Sariel all the way to 0 before the timer hits. I get pretty close, but nope.
It's asking a lot when you're just playing as Enoch with no weapons to do that too. That's just ridiculous.
The basic hand-to-hand combos are not really that great for combat. So moving over to Armorosis. In contrast to Sariel, who is quite a bit difficult because of just how many projectile attacks he has and such, Armorosis is actually really easy to deal with here because he's really easy to bait. If you get up in his face, he'll do his hand-to-hand combo rather than getting out of the way. And if you can just dodge roll out of the way of that, then you can wait until he's done with his combo and then hit him. Also, you can just get lucky with him trying to do the bait attack.
So yeah, I was thinking, I was talking to you a little earlier about Ignition and kind of how they treated this game, and it's just the whole, like, right when this game came out, Ignition was just making bad mistake after bad mistake. They'd recently published Miramasa, and everyone was really disappointed in the translation for that game. And then this game came out, and it had just no marketing. You saw maybe some splash ads on IGN or something like that, but there was little in the way of commercials. And for a game that's pretty difficult to market, they really didn't put much effort into it. And then Ignition just kind of, it was just all downhill. Like, after this game came out, the whole development company, the Ignition Tokyo, was shut down. Like, literally 3 weeks after the North American release, all the people that were working on this game were fired.
Dang.
And I'm not, the status of Ignition right now is kind of up in the air, because if you go to their website, it's down, and they still exist. They still have like a market, like a you can still find them on the Japanese marketplace, but they basically, what happened is, after this game came out, they made, working on a different game, an American made game called Rain, that looked super generic. It was like a fantasy World War II shooter action game, and they, this is, talk about misappropriation of funds. They spent $23 million just to create like 3 levels. And
wow.
If you actually look at what they were able to produce, this trailer you can find on YouTube, it was just, I don't know what they were doing with that $23 million, because it doesn't look like a product of a $23 million budget. And Rain, of course, was canceled, and after that, it's just, this was kind of like, when this game came out, it was kind of the beginning of the end of Ignition, which is funny, because this is easily the best product that they released, either published or developed, and and I think a lot of the trouble with this game was that you see it in the intro screen that it was created by it was like a multicultural effort, and I think that must have just jacked up the budget ridiculously. And
I feel like that particular disclaimer was more of just a hey, we're taking a really weird look at Christian mythology, but we got a bunch of people of varying backgrounds here, so don't hate us for it.
I think it was like just to save their ass.
Yeah. So, costume talk for a second. Last fight with Enoch, you saw that we were still as Dark Enoch. If you get an A rank in Enoch's Indecision, you unlock the Dark Enoch costume, and here we are playing in the special costume. This is the reward for completing all of the darkness stages and getting all of Ishtar's bones. It is a denim jacket that goes over the denim jeans. There are a few major changes to it. First and foremost is that you do not take any damage while wearing this costume. You are completely invincible. Second major thing is that your score is always 0, regardless of what you do. Picking up any flames of power, destroying any objects, hitting any enemy, nothing will give you any points. And then the third thing is that you sort of have a permanent semi-overboost. Auriel always supplements all of your attacks. Sometimes this is useful, sometimes it gets in your way if you're trying to execute combos and practice things. This is a really good costume for practicing things because you can't take any damage. This would be the way to go about learning how to perfect guard. But yeah, it's a cool costume that unfortunately with the you don't get any score, it just makes it useful for either breezing through things or practicing. Also, back there I just wanted to show off getting through there without disabling the drones. It's not particularly difficult.
I'm honestly not surprised that this is like the ultimate outfit, just because considering Enoch's default, like without any armor, I'm not surprised that a pantsuit is basically
it is a matching jacket. Yeah,
it's a pantsuit. Let's just call it that. But yeah, I mean, I can definitely see its utility as far as learning how this game plays, because you don't really get a lot of opportunities for that when you're getting destroyed by the really fast enemies.
Yeah, there's no training mode or like, things like Metal Gear Rising where they have the VR missions where you can just practice forever. You have to practice in the course of the game. Auriel is really nice sometimes in that he just can stun lock things. It's useful for just locking certain enemies down. Like right here, I'm just not even give any fucks.
That's pretty brilliant. Just breaking the whole game open with that.
Yep. And then finally we come to Nether Ezekiel, who's the most complicated of all the Nether forms. Just taking the opportunity to show off some of Auriel's moves.
I first thought, when I first fought this boss, I thought it would be super frustrating, but it's actually like, once you nail the patterns down, it's pretty simple. And it's just a lot of dodging.
Yeah, I can't deal with the fireballs particularly well, but
they have this really, I mean, it's hard to see at first. They have a pretty, like, there's certain spots in the arena where you can make yourself pretty invincible to the fireballs, and it becomes a little easier to manage. But at first, it's pretty intimidating because of how often she uses them and the pattern that they go in and all that.
Yeah. And then here we come to the end.
Imagine.
Just gotta, there we go. Now, something about the special outfit is that it does not affect your secret bonus at all. So, even though I have a score of 0, it's still possible for me to get an A at the very end. managing to get everything. All right.
How was that?
Well, that was that. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. It's one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah, it's praise is well deserved for all its shortcomings. It's a really great game.
Definitely. I don't think we're going to get a game like this ever again, honestly.
That's a shame. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, and thank all of you for watching. Please join me next time when we wrap this whole adventure up.